psychology, it's actually called confidence competence loop. That the more confident
you are,
the more competent you are at something,
right,
the more confident you are. And because you're more confident, you're going to do that activity more, and then you're going to get more competent and create momentum, right?
Oh, that's great.
Confident competence loop. And so, that when you're confident, it leads to greater competence. When your competence leads to greater confidence.
So most people right now are going, okay, well, where the fuck did you get the confidence to switch it?
Yeah.
Once you got the confidence, run with it. Great, let's go to the top. How do you start the loop?
Yeah.
And especially when you're at your lowest.
Yeah. I was at my lowest for a good decade and a half every single day.
Okay.
With this label, I would struggle, have anxiety and all these kind of issues. And I was introverted just personally, but because of my issues, I became very shy. And shy is different introvert, right? Introvert is just, you like being by yourself, you replenish by yourself. Are you an introvert or extrovert?
No, but it's interesting that you make that distinction, because there are people that they just don't need the validation of strangers constantly. So we look at them, we're like, oh, you're shy. And they're like, no, I'm full. Yeah. I don't have the void you have, so I don't need you to tell me I'm great all the time. I'll just speak when I want to speak. Where there's performers, probably like me and many other comics and people in other fields as well, where we're like, I don't feel whole. Yeah. Am I funny? Am I whole? Am I funny? Am I whole? We're good? Okay, now I'm whole. I got a couple breaths of oxygen, as my buddy Neil Brennan puts it, and then I can be good for now. So that's interesting to make that distinction. That's right. Shy is different than introverted.
Yeah.
Shy is almost like a self-imposed introversion. You don't want to be. Yeah. You want to be friendly. You want to have these other people in your life that like you spend time with. You want to speak out loud. You just don't have the fucking confidence to do it. Oof.
Yeah. I mean, do you think performers, a lot of them come from feeling not enough, and that's what drove them to?
It must.
Yeah.
Yeah, it must. I mean, like, I don't think it's. I think on some level that's where like that's maybe the catalyst. Yeah. Like that maybe is the spark, like not getting enough attention in some way. There's also just a love for it. I don't think every comic has to have this like tragic story, this person was touched as a kid, or his parents hated him, or these type of things. Like I think there are people that just truly enjoy entertaining, and but it is odd to stand in front of people and just go, aren't I good? But my relationship with it has always been kind of, before I had a crowd that like we all knew what we were getting in on when we came to the show, before I had that experience, I was almost a little bit resentful of the audience who would be like, all right, make me laugh. And I'd be like, who the fuck are you? Like, this is, you signed up for this too.
Right.
We both, you wanted to be made laugh, and I wanted to make you laugh. You don't got to cross the arms. You know what I mean? Prove to me you're good at being an audience too. So it's cool to be at this stage. I don't want to distract too much. So shy and introverted.
Yeah, so I think sometimes it's a choice. I was very depleted. I didn't have that. There's a great book called Quiet, and it's The Power of Introverts by Susan Cain, and she has this idea that introverts wake up and they have 5 gold coins, and every single time they engage with somebody takes their coin. And they feel depleted. So then they have to be by themselves to replenish. Extroverts wake up and they have no gold coins. And every single time they engage with somebody, they get energy and energy and energy. And so I could feel that. And on top of it, being damaged, I felt like I was shy. I wanted to be able to, even though I was shrinking and being invisible, I didn't want to be seen. I did want to be seen, right? We all want to be heard. We want to be recognized. And so it wasn't, but I've always had that drive because I had purpose, because I wanted to, I don't know, maybe just deep down I felt like there was something there and I just couldn't figure it out.
I guess what I'm asking is like, the person that's listening right now and they go, wow, I'd like to make that change in my life. What was the first step? What is the easiest thing to flip in the positive direction?
So my inspiration was my desperation, right? I was so desperate. And my advice for somebody in that same situation is to take a small, simple step, right? I believe that you don't have to do little things add up to big things, right? Little by little.
Don't lose 400 pounds.
Exactly. Little by little, a little becomes a lot. This consistency compounds. And I would say that for greater confidence, first of all, I think confidence is not something we have, because we always say, oh, I want to have confidence. But I think that's also a way of brainwashing ourselves, because I don't think we have these things. I think we do. There's certain things you could do that will give you confidence. Right now, if everyone did this exercise, and said, on a scale of 0 to 10, how confident do you feel about something, right? Or just about life in general. And people could say it's a 5. Then you could do a thought experiment game. You could gamify it. You're like, okay, well, what do I need to do to feel a 6? Or a 7? Right? Maybe I need to play some good music. Maybe I need to just get up and move around or whatever it happens to be. And I would say do something small. Get yourself out of your comfort zone. There's this quote. What was this? Wasn't there a Matt Damon movie about buying a zoo? Right, whatever. But there's a quote saying that 20 seconds of insane confidence or courage could just change your life. And I would say that here's one. While the beauty is in the butterfly, the growth happens in the cocoon. Right, it's the struggle to come out that builds your strength to be able to soar.
You said something last night about it was inside versus outside.
I was using the metaphor of an egg that. If an egg is broken by an outside force, life ends. But if an egg is broken by an inside force, life begins. So great things begin on the inside.
So what is that first thing? Even what is the smallest little thing that you would recommend? First step.
So I would
make your fucking bed.
I would say that fear, right? Because usually what makes us not confident is uncertainty, right? It's the unknown, and it's not comfortable. And while the comfort zone is a nice place to visit, nothing grows there. Right? And you know this, right? To get on stage, to be able to, you are where you are because you put in the work and the sacrifice and those late nights and those gigs that, and those that you didn't want to, do. And, and so that's what success is. Most people see the tip of the iceberg and they see this lifestyle, and yet below the iceberg is that discipline and all the things that led to it, the mess and everything. So I would say, ask yourself this question: what is the tiniest action I could take that will give me progress towards this goal where I can't fail? So make it so minuscule. So maybe if people aren't confident about their body and they don't work out, maybe working out an hour a day is way too big. So a small, simple step: put on your running shoes. Maybe reading. We said leaders are readers, and try to read a book a week. But breaking it down, it's about 45 minutes for the average reader a day, which is a lot. But that's why we tripled people's reading speed so they can do it in 15 minutes a day. But maybe 45 minutes is too big. Maybe a small, simple step: opening up the book, reading one line in the book. Some people don't floss their teeth. Right? Get yourself to floss one tooth, because you're not going to stop at one tooth, and you develop some kind of momentum, right? And so that's really the key.
Start with one tooth is the best.
But do something, and metaphorically, for whatever you feel fearful of,
right?
Take that small, simple step, break it down where it's digestible.
Well, before, I don't want to take up too much of your time. I know you're a very busy man, but we got to get through fast.
So F is forget. Forget about what you know about it so you can learn something new. Because if you go to an event about sales and starting a business, you might think you know it, then you're not going to learn anything new. Right. Also, forget about distractions, because multitasking is a myth. Right? It's actually task switching. So when you say you're multitasking, nobody is actually doing that. You're going from one task to another to another. And what it costs you is time. Because it could take 5-10 minutes to regain your focus. You hop onto social media, that's like a wormhole. Right? And you come back and you're like, oh my God, just 30 minutes just disappeared. Because you could scroll till you die. Right? That's never going to end, ever, right? So do one thing.
That was the worst, when Instagram used to tell you when there was nothing left.
Right.
You're just like, man, I suck today. I reached the end.
There's no more. So here's the thing. So I would say, forget about distractions, because you lose time. You make mistakes when you're trying to multitask. So if you want to study something and learn it, and you're listening to a podcast, you're taking note. But if you're on Slack and social media and you're not going to do anything well. You're going to make more mistakes. And the third thing, you use up more energy. You burn more brain glucose. So if you suffer from mental fatigue, which a lot of people do, brain fog, sometimes it's because you're trying to multitask and you have too many tabs in your computer open. And even if they're minimized, they're still taking up energy, right? They're still taking up memory, right? So kind of close that tab. If something comes in your mind, something you have to do, write it down so you can release it. Right? Because what you resist persists. If you try not to do something, you're just going to do it more, right? So forget about those things. The A in fast, you got to be active. Because learning life is not a spectator sport. And so many people they sit back passively and say, okay, teach me. But that's not how the brain learns. The brain doesn't learn through consumption. It learns through creation and creativity. And you can't learn by just being lectured to. And a teacher it's not the responsibility to push information in your head. And so as much as you get active. So for example, how can people be active? I mentioned the first thing, just taking some notes, right? And actually handwriting notes and digitally taking notes is different, right? And so I don't know, and people could mention this.
I recall handwritten way better.
Yeah.
Handwritten,
and you're not you're not alone. And I'll tell you one of the reasons. Digital is great for storing information, sharing it, but handwriting notes has been proven to help your comprehension and retention. One of the reasons why is most people could type pretty fast, and you could type almost everything that we're talking about right now, but you can't possibly handwrite. And so it forces
time with it.
It forces you to reflect on it, to filter it, what's most important and relevant here, right? So those are little things. Plus, it's very kinesthetic and personal when you're handwriting things.
You're also going shorthand, so you're just writing the important words. Yeah, it's super dense when you take notes handwritten.
Much better. Even a whole brain note-taking way is because the reason why you take notes is because there's a learning curve. There's also a forgetting curve. Do you know how much is lost? When you listen to a podcast, read a book, get a lecture at university, after hearing it once, after 2 days, how much do you think you forget on average?
I'm at I don't know, 25%, 30%.
80%. Isn't that wild? You listen to something.
We got to keep putting out the same apps every week. We're working too hard.
So by taking notes, it helps that to reduce that. And a fun way of taking notes that will help your comprehension retention, take a piece of paper, put a line right down the page. On the left side, capture. On the right side, create. Now this is nuance. On the left side, you're going to take notes. On the right side, you're going to make notes.
These are the things that are being said. These are my thoughts about it.
Exactly. Perfect.
That's great.
So that's a left and right brain away. So left brain is usually logic and linear. So you're going to capture how to remember names, right? What's the morning routine, right? And you're capturing it. On the right side, if your mind, your imagination is going to go somewhere, let it go instead of distracting you and mind wander. Let it go on the right side of the page. How am I going to use this? How does this relate to what I know? What questions do I, just go on and you create. The future belongs to the creators, right? I love being around creatives because where jobs are going, they're being automated. They're going to machines, AI. But what's not is our ability to create and imagine. That's what is limitless.